Health coaches want excellent results for their clients, but often their clients have already tried everything and everyone first. And a big piece of the missing link is they have unknown toxins. And so our special guest today is an expert detox coach who's going to talk about her journey to become a detox coach and why it's so important and those things to look for so that you can help your clients have healthy guts, reset their nervous system so they can get those excellent results. So please welcome Emily Bobbitt. Welcome, Emily.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Dr. Shaunna.
Well, I am so excited to chat with you. You know so much about toxins, detoxing, how to do it safely. You know this personally, professionally, and you are actually coming to us all the way from New Zealand. So
That's right.
thank you for tuning in here at this way different time zone than we're at. Take us back to what kind of work were you doing before you became a health coach? What was your background? And go back as far as you would like to go. And what had you be interested in? Let's start with health coaching in general.
Yeah, so I was a massage therapist, my first, career. And actually toxicity was what led me to being a massage therapist. I was really interested in just I was having sensitivities in my own home. And I started learning about certain cleaners and certain detergents and certain, things can be, hyperallergenic or, yeah. So I started looking at that and found that essential oils is really helpful to start cleaning with, and that led me to actually learning a massage technique with essential oils. So actually, even that massage career was centered in looking at toxicity. And so I jumped right into doing massage. I found I could really help people. But this was still in the back of my mind of like, okay, I know there's a toxicity here that really slows our ability to heal. There's always going to be something that needs to be addressed with the gut and just actually, in the inner sides. I'm working the
Right,
muscles, getting the working
right.
pain out of the body. But how is the immune system really?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So the toxins was even in first and foremost, even before the massage. What had that be in your forefront of your mind? Why were you even thinking
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I was dealing with mostly skin. What that was probably the big thing that I couldn't hide, right?
Yeah.
I did have painful gut. I did have I would could write it up to cross of depression and anxiety somewhere,
Yeah.
not really in the middle. Just I
Yeah.
was either one or other,
Yeah.
and but the skin issues was something I would have rashes. I would break out, which I guess is fairly normal for a teenager at that time, but it was different. It was very painful. And I would have rashes around my necks, all my hot spots, armpits, behind my knees, along my belly, along the sides of my ribs. It just was very painful, and I tried to cover it up all the time.
Yeah.
So I started learning about how, if there is toxicity that you're dealing with in your environment, you can start eliminating that. But it wasn't until I started looking at actually detoxing that I
Mhm.
realized I what do I do with what I've already been exposed to? I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
stop trying to, you know, uh, control my environment better
Yeah.
and live a low toxic life. But what do I do with what I've already been exposed to? How do I
Right.
deal with that?
Right. And so your point is really great because there's one thing stop the incoming, but then there's all of what we've already lived. I remember
That's
hearing
right.
a study, and I forget the name of it or the specifics of the numbers, but
Sure.
fetuses in your utero have already been exposed to hundreds
Yeah.
of toxins, petroleum and, Teflon byproducts and everything in the womb. They haven't even eaten or breathed anything externally. And
Yeah.
so we all have toxins. So sometimes people are like, oh, I don't have any toxins. No, like we all do. And it's at what extent are they causing an issue or not.
Yeah.
And it can have a cumulative effect. When
That's
you
right.
were when you had some of these issues with the skin
Mhm.
and rashes, and were you in your teens, early 20s? Like what age group was that?
Yeah, I've had the skin issues since childhood, really.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, it was always like, oh, you just need to scrub better. You just need to put on more lotion. And it wasn't until I started looking at what am I going to do with my life at, like 18, 19, I started looking into just medical related careers
yeah,
and yeah, but I really wanted to deal with what was going on for myself.
yeah,
So I thought if I could help myself, then I could help others. And it just took this whole other trail of,
yeah,
but what I finally did land on, even after doing massage for 7 years, is that I was dealing with toxicity that was trying to get out,
yeah,
and then it would just recycle.
yeah,
And so I was noticing there was a pattern when I got stressed, when
yeah,
if I ate, foods I know my body doesn't like,
yeah,
the things that we know suppress our immune system. What
yes.
would happen for me, I was have those rashes, I would have painful digestion. I'm so much so that it disrupts my sleep,
Gosh.
and then I'm not taking care of myself, but the emotional impact of that was also extra, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So it just felt that I was like, okay, I need to get into the root of what this is and why it's not going away.
Yeah. And it's like a vicious cycle. Like
Yeah,
when you have a rash, and especially when you're a young girl, young woman,
yeah,
that's going to affect your confidence. That is
absolutely.
naturally going to lead to self-consciousness and anxiety
Mhm.
at best. And did so now you're in front of us, you got beautiful glowing skin. What was uh so people are listening, they're like, okay, what was the thing
Yeah,
that you did
yes.
to get here? And I know it's not just one, oh, you took this pill. No, that's
Yeah.
not how it works. But like, give us at your level, uh what was it? How
Mhm.
did you detox, get to the root cause?
Yeah.
Bring us through what is required to go from that situation, which is really intolerable, but like
Hmm.
probably you had a lot of trouble finding help for that because
Yeah.
everybody's like, well, yeah, it's fine. And that's, put a ointment on it. Try that. And these Band-Aid solutions, what was it that allowed you to get to where you are here?
Yeah, I actually want to tell you a little bit more about my family to answer that. I grew up in a home where we don't really go to the doctor with everything, unless you have a broken bone.
Yeah,
We yeah. So that's pretty much been a mentality that. So I just want you to know that.
yeah.
Um, I am fixated on figuring it out myself. Yeah, because of that. So. But we started having, and my brother, my cousin, who's the same age as me, and my auntie all have Crohn's. And my auntie had it for years before my brother and my cousin. And once it was my brother and cousin, I was like, whoa, that's really close. Like
Hmm.
it was already a shock for my auntie in her 40s, but my brother and cousin had this issue in their 20s. And I was like, what's happening? And so that kind of really scared me straight to look at what was happening with my body
Hmm.
as an alarm bell
Yeah.
to really make a change. I had done elimination diets and I've done other types of detoxing once I kind of got around to that. Um, and then my friend, my friend Kimberly, we all have that friend that like goes out
Yeah.
into the deep water and comes
Yeah.
back and is like, look at this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful that I listened to her with this one thing that she was, really hot on. And she had just learned about a parasite detox. And she'd done the training directly with the company to be a practitioner, and she was just like regurgitating everything. And it interested me because of the research and the medical team that was behind this. It wasn't just some fad thing. It was
Yeah.
actually a whole clinical approach.
Right.
And at that point, I had already been practicing Chinese medicine with my massage. So I really had this respect of, yes, we do need to get things circulating. We do need to open up the body. We
Hmm.
do, it's all connected. And
Yeah.
um, what she was sharing with me was kind of another level of what the body deals with when it gets stagnant, is the word that
Yeah.
Chinese medicine looks at.
Yes.
When
Yep.
there's stagnation, you're not getting nutrients, you're not detoxing. So that was the turning point when she introduced me to this parasite detox as something that could just be clogging things up, slowing things down, an additional stressor on the body. And parasites, this is the key. Parasites are there naturally cleaning up toxins. So they're a part of our environment. They're in the soil. But they get parasitic when they start leaching off of our nutrients. But they're also there because of the toxins as well. So more toxins, more potential parasitic infections. Um, Also, your immune system is not able to keep that balance as well. Just like Candida, it's naturally
Yes.
occurring.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not technically a parasite, but it can become parasitic when it's out of balance. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, really great information. And so most people now, not before, but most people now are getting more and more familiar with having healthy gut bacteria. Like we want them, we need them
Yeah,
to
yeah.
keep things in balance and in check. And
Hmm.
if we eliminate them, yeah, then that's when we have the overgrowth
That's
of
right.
the more harmful bacteria. And so
Right.
what you're saying is the same thing. And so how does one know if they have parasites
Sure.
or how toxic are they or if
Yeah.
that is the cause of some of the symptoms that they have?
Yes, great question. I think this is the question that everybody's like, wait, how would I even know?
Yeah.
So if you go on Google, it's really hard to find an actual, like test that gives you real solid results. These particular little things are very clever. They are good at hiding. They can go a lot. They're so small that they can hide. They can go out of the digestive tract, um, and they don't. Yeah, they like to stay. So they're not going to be coming out for a stool test.
Yeah.
So I just want to. It is a difficult
Yeah.
thing to test for. I have seen doctors actually take blood and look at it in a microscope, and they can see them in the blood
Mhm.
life. So there's that. That's very niche.
Yeah.
Um, there's two things that pretty much everyone is exposed to. If you have pets, you're being exposed to parasites. So that's a given. There's studies on specific cat parasites that cause neurological issues, imbalances. That's already treated with a pharmaceutical, but there's so much more. So if you're around animals, farm animals even, you're being exposed to these parasites. Water, lakes, rivers. Um, it's just a part of our environment, really.
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing is the kind of the symptoms of what you might be looking
Yeah.
for um, is joint pain is one of them. Um, there's a moon cycle that these parasites are a part of.
Mhm.
They feed off of serotonin, and your body releases more serotonin. It's a growth. We're going to open up the body,
Mhm.
um, hormones, and what during the full moon we release serotonin, and they actually come out and start to leach on that. Um, Oh, yeah, it's just one of the things that can cause hormonal imbalances during the full moon. We all know that sometimes there's this like, how can we explain why are people kind of losing it?
Yeah.
That is a possibility. That is something to consider. So that's a symptom if you do feel like your mood really shifts with the moon and you can't really pinpoint it. That could be one of it. But for me,
Yeah.
the I noticed that certain foods made my gut like completely rumble. It would just be like roar. And I would be laying there at nighttime and there was so much movement that was happening and not just like gas, but there was actual like rumbling around the gut. And that can actually be a feeding frenzy. Like, I don't even, once you know what those feelings are, especially when you go through the detox and you can identify when they're dying off and things are settling down and you don't have this reaction anymore. And then um, the full moon comes in, so they get a little bit more activity, and that's really when we want to go hard on the detox. But you start tracking those symptoms as like, oh my gosh, that's what it was all along.
I
Yeah.
think it's really helpful to track things like that because you
Yeah.
make those associations. It's the same reason people will do a food journal or, but even, and we look at that like we are all connected. Like we are
Yeah.
connected to. It's why uh, we look at the effect that the moon can have on the oceans. And so
Hmm.
then when we look at that, we can see the effect of the moon on women's cycles as well.
Okay.
There's an impact, and then we can see that. And so it's interesting to see that. And if we are mainly water, then of course there's going to be a natural.
Mm.
We are part of. We're a part of nature, and just same
Yeah.
with circadian, your sleep-wake cycle,
Right. Right.
all of that. It's all combined, and so it's
Mm.
really helpful to see. Okay, where do things track? I'd never heard of that before about the relationship between parasites or any kind of infection really
Yeah.
and the moon. So that's really interesting to see that there's maybe like when we know more things and we look at it from a different
Right.
perspective, you're like, hey, that tracks.
Well,
So
what?
it's something for people to kind of take a look at and see. And then having been a medical doctor for 25 years, I can definitely tell you, any nurses or doctors can tell you in the hospital, like you can tell. We used to say, "Is it a full moon?" Because you would
Yeah.
know, like it is wild. So,
Yeah.
and the microcosm, the macrocosm, all of that. And so you had all of these symptoms. You did these detoxes, the parasitic detox, and is it just parasites or is it like heavy metals? Are there other things? Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about
Yeah, because the toxicity and the parasites are inseparable. Doing a parasitic detox is getting the heavy metals out, is getting other chemicals out, and just getting their food source out of your body. Processed foods, these things that something has to feed off of it, something has to clean that up. um, Parasites are there kind of doing that job, unfortunately.
that.
So we're getting all of those out, all those food sources out as well. And one particular thing is you probably have heard binders. I would guess the people that are listening, know the elimination diet stuff.
Yeah.
They know about, these toxins and also have heard about binders, maybe. That is so crucial to have inside of your detox. Not everybody does, or have kind of a less effective version. What is it? Diatomaceous earth is
Yeah.
considered
Yeah.
a binder, um, and yes, that is helpful. That is a step up, right?
Right.
Um, but the heavy metals and the chemicals need something to bind to get out, really.
Mm.
Um, and so what I've been introduced to is a company that actually has sourced their own folic acid and humic acid, that they've engineered into really the smallest particles that they possibly can. And so they actually know that they can go after nanoplastics, or sorry, microplastics.
Yes.
We do have nanoplastics now, but there's we can only make those particles so small to attach to the
Yes.
plastic. So
Yeah.
it's even plastics that are, and we know that those are hormone disruptors as well. So
And
that's
I
all inside of the parasite detox. So it is a bigger picture. Um, and but we do actually start with the colon where the
Mhm.
parasites like to live. So
Yeah.
yeah, we do address it as a parasite cleanse because we're getting all of that food source out of toxins and specifically adding the herbs in that kill the parasites
Yeah.
to be thorough.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's really important to say, like, um, it's not like just, okay, I'm not going to eat those foods. Okay, you're good. We're exposed everywhere, and we were exposed like
Everywhere.
we're right away. So we do have these toxins within us. Some of them
Hmm.
are fat soluble. Your
Hmm.
body's doing the best it can to protect you. It's trying to wall it off
Yeah,
in
that's
your
right.
fat, maybe in your liver, which is
Yep,
your major detox organ, to try to protect you from it. It's doing
correct.
the best it can, but everyone has its limit, including your liver and your nervous system, your immune system, your detox system, and so it can use some supports. And it was never meant to deal with potentially all of these man-made, manufactured
That's
toxins
right.
that we inundate our bodies with on a daily basis. And so, as health coaches, as humans, we will sometimes be going along, and then all of a sudden we have these symptoms that are
Yeah.
just so stubborn, and they're not
So
going away with our usual things that we would try. And that's where, you would come in, where it's like, this isn't working. How can we get to that next level? Like, I've tried
yeah,
this diet, I tried this pill, it didn't
yeah,
work. And so that's where we take this approach. And like one last thing before I really tie into
yeah.
like, who you're especially helping now,
Mhm.
um, is is you mentioned about stagnant energy before. And I think the
Mhm.
other thing is, um, we have that emotional toxins.
That's
Like
right.
there's a phrase, the issues are in the tissues. And
Yeah,
so uh, I'm going to imagine, but you can feel free to comment however you like here, but like
sure.
it's all interconnected. Like
That's right.
it's all connected. Do you want to
Yeah.
speak to like the impact of the emotional toxins, and maybe, which comes first? I mean, it's hard to know, but
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
thoughts
we're
on that?
gonna we can definitely talk about breath work. So again, the audience that is watching this has probably come across breath work, probably does breath work. So this is no new news, but it's just so good to hear again that we actually eliminate majority through a breath. We think that it's going the other direction, but
Yes.
actually majority of our elimination is through breathing.
Huh.
And we just don't realize that because it's hard to package that volume. But there's some really good research about that. Anyways, and so it's really good to remember that our breath is a huge part of keeping our body circulating, everything. So when we spend the time inside of a detox to really focus on breath work, I'll get to the emotional part.
Yeah.
We are optimizing your body's support to eliminate, and specifically adding in more rigorous breath work just to get that off, right? Um, Inside of the breath work is also moving the stuck emotions. And there's so many different ways to look at what that is. In the
Yeah.
Chinese medicine world, it is energy. It's supporting your organs because that's really where those emotions are created.
Hmm.
And different emotions, if you're feeling like you're dealing with a lot of anger, I'm one of them. That's one of my thing I really have to keep check is, oh, if I'm easily angered
Yeah.
and I'm a sweet person, but I've
Yeah.
got this internal.
Yeah.
And I don't show that to people. So it's very internal and it
Yes.
hurts. Like I actually build up pressure in my liver area.
Yes.
And so we're able to support those buildups of emotion, continue to get them moving, getting that circulation going.
Yes.
Um, and so that's more Chinese medicine, but we're really like toning
Yeah.
the vagus nerve. We're getting things to actually eliminate. Who knows? I mean, we don't know that much really,
Yes.
but what we
Yeah.
do know is there's hormones. There you're dealing with cortisol. You're dealing with all of that.
Yeah.
But just the energy itself, we know that once we have addressed the emotional needs of our body, our nervous system just goes into that beautiful rest. And with a detox, you are asking more of your body. You are putting in an additional demand
Yes.
on it with whatever you're already dealing with.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, to be supporting your emotional needs is going to come with it. You're going to have an emotional purge no matter what
Yes.
with a
Yes.
detox. So we might
Yeah.
as well just go along with the ride and have that, professional support with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And who is it that you primarily are helping with
Yeah.
your health coaching practice now? Tell us a little bit about who mainly is seeking your help and who are you passionate about being
Yeah.
on a mission for?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I'm specifically looking with, excuse me, I'm specifically working with people that are busy professionals, kind of 30s, 40s. There's just people that really know that their body is asking, "Hey, I need your help now. Like we can't keep going this direction."
Yeah.
And I found me in my 30s. I'm running my own business. I'm also parenting my parents now, where, I'm looking out for them. Those
Yes.
roles are switching. There's children involved. There's a lot more of life to handle.
Yes.
And my body is already like, I should be at my peak health, you
Right.
know? So we kind of touched on how things can be kind of passed on, toxicity can be passed on, and I've really just recognized that I think I need to take this seriously because
Mm.
I am not at the health that my parents were at my age.
Yeah.
So we are living in a little bit of a different environment.
Yeah.
So those are the type of people that I'm really wanting to reach out to that should be in their peak, should be
Yes.
like really living that full life and holding up, a leadership in their life, really.
Yeah.
But you can't do that if your energy is all over the place, your moods are over the place, your digestion is, inconsistent, or sometimes you're, having some painful digestion, even having rashings, and you're covering up, and that confidence is low. It's just, it really keeps you from living the best life and
Yeah.
offering, the best version of yourself to your people.
Yeah.
So that's
And
really what I'm reaching out for.
yeah, I love that. Give us an example maybe of so what happens with health coaches, and especially the ones that I interact with that are coming to and helping people with get to the root cause. And so when you come from that approach, rather than side effects, you get
Yeah.
positive side effects or ripple benefits. Share a client or two example of maybe somebody came to you for this problem
Mhm.
that you worked together, that got better, but then there was like all of these other things because it just shares the benefits of getting to root cause. So tell us a few examples just for people to get an insight into what this would look like.
That's great. I'll tell you a couple examples and then kind of tie back into that emotional part.
Okay, sounds good.
Feel like there's one more thing I wanted to share. So one particular client, uh, I'll say her name, Selena. She's given me permission to share her story. She came to me as a mother of two, and she works with a lovely restaurant that she loves. She's surrounded by food all the time.
Yes,
And as we know, restaurant food isn't really what you want to be eating every day.
right.
So, and she's really seeing the effects. She's been very loyal to this restaurant for, gosh, it's like 8 years now. And I met her by working there as well, so I know exactly what they serve. And she's really feeling her body is slowing down. Like her focus is less, her not compassion, but her enthusiasm to play with her kids, and just she's not sleeping as well. And she enjoys her job so much. She loves being with people, but her energy is decreasing
Hmm.
progressively. And she's gained a little bit of weight, and she's starting to have some aches and pains, so that she was kind of just riding up to being 40.
Yeah.
But yeah, I shared her with her these breakthroughs that I had with doing this parasite cleanse, and she's like, oh yeah, maybe that I would like to try that. And through the program, about halfway through, she she really loved the breath work. that was really a big piece to it that actually she could have just taken that by itself. But with the intentional eating, not eating from the restaurant, she was getting results from that. And then obviously helping with the detox. And she surprised me and shared that she lost 25 pounds. That wasn't even a goal. That she just wanted to feel better in her skin. It wasn't at all on her register, to lose weight during this.
Yeah.
It's quite kind of short, 3 months ish.
Yes.
She didn't want to take that on, but it just happened naturally as she was doing this detox process and also dealing with the emotional needs that her body was talking to her about. So, yeah,
I love it. Yeah, because a lot of times people will come, it gets to the brink, like I can't go on, and so like I got no energy, help,
yeah,
and then yes, that gets better. But and a lot of times, so other people might be dealing with stubborn 25 pounds, and
right.
then once you go through this process, we reset the nervous system, we calm that down, we detox, and
Mhm.
then yeah, the weight comes off, the energy comes back, the sleep comes back, the relationships get
Does it just
better,
all starts
everything gets better
there
and
starts
better.
working?
Any others that another example if you would like,
Yes, one more I would love to share. I won't share her name because she hasn't given me permission to, but she came, her and her husband came to me actually, and she deals with autoimmune disease with POTS, and she deals with mast cell activation with things, so she's very regimented with what she can eat.
Mhm.
Um, but man, she's a workaholic. Like she's running her own marketing business and, just lives off of caffeine and like 5 hours, 4 hours of sleep, which was just like, hello, can we,
Yeah,
where do we start?
yeah,
And she was just so happy to just really have these conversations, really dig in. And the structure of the parasite cleanse, because you're
mhm,
really in that strategy.
yeah,
Um, she loved. And so through about halfway, when we were really going for the die off, like when you're actually having
yeah,
the herbs that kill them, she had acid reflux. She's like, oh no, what? My body is really sensitive. Is this going to work for me?
yeah,
And I had to do my research.
yeah,
I had to step back and get, a doctor to talk to me about it. And anyway, so we talked about it and she said, okay, maybe my gallbladder is really kicking up a notch.
mhm,
And she remembered that that was a thing that her body does when her gallbladder is really going.
mhm.
And so we addressed that symptom, and she felt better after just a couple of days of addressing that symptom, and she was able to continue with the parasite. And that particular happening was such a shift for her because she hadn't taken on an advanced detox like this before
Right.
and had confidence that she could get through it. She knew that this would be recirculating things possibly. I kept telling her, no, we've got the binders. It's
Yeah,
not going to be recirculating. It's
yeah.
going to get out and your body will be progressively relieved. So to have somebody I saw her really have that aha moment like, okay, detox can be good for my body, however immune suppressed I am, however stressed I am, however like few hours of sleep that I'm getting, it can still get some momentum. It can still eliminate these toxins.
And
So
did her energy end up improving on the other side of that?
yes, she started backing off on her caffeine consumption, which is awesome. Her husband didn't, he didn't sign up for that, but she really wanted to see what she could do. And yeah, so by the end, they weren't reliant on caffeine, or she wasn't reliant on caffeine. And she actually started reintroducing some different foods. She started because she was just feeling so regulated. She wasn't having those big woof, inflammatory spells she has about every 2 weeks. She was just feeling more regular. So she started even reintroducing some foods that she really missed. She hadn't had in years. So yeah, that's what we achieved in just 3 months.
I love it. So, this whole world of detox, getting to root cause, taking a holistic approach, dealing with emotions and their
Yeah.
nutrition and the toxins in the environment, internal, external, all of it is allowing people to have these breakthroughs and that. And so if somebody's listening and they are wanting help, maybe they're either looking to detox them, themselves, or they know someone else, or they're like wondering, I'm like, hey, is this the missing link for me? Where can they get in touch with you?
So I am on Instagram, and Nochi Healing is my tag. And then I also have my website at fullspectrumcoaching.com.
All right. So Inochi Healing, that's Inochi Healing, Inochi Healing on Instagram, and fullspectrumcoaching.org is where you can find her on her site. Thank you so much, Emily. It's been a pleasure having you. And if you are a health coach and you are looking at, hey, how do I narrow down and focus on those areas that I'm uniquely qualified for? Check out this video on how to set up your successful health coaching practice. And with that, have a fantastic week. And of course, be good for you.